How's it going, guys? Duke Desperado, and today we got a new deck profile for you. Today we got Super Quant. So this is actually one of my favorite decks. Basically it's Power Rangers the deck. You want to make all these Xyz monsters to form your Super Quantal Great King Magnus. Um, Without further ado, guys, let's get into it. So, starting off the main deck, we got 3 copies of Red Layer. Red Layer is basically like a Cyber Dragon for the deck. In other words, it can special summon itself if you control no other monsters. If it's summoned, you can add a Super Quant card from your graveyard back to your hand. If it's sent to the graveyard, you get to special summon a Super Quant monster from your grave, but it cannot activate its effects. You can use each effect once per turn. Both of them have an effect when summoned. Well, all of the Super Quants have an effect when summoned, and all of them have an effect whenever they're sent to the graveyard. So, just keep that in mind as we go through this deck profile. Next, we got 3 copies of Green Layer. Green Layer, whenever summoned, is going to special summon a Super Quant monster from your hand. And if it's sent to the graveyard, you get to discard a Super Quant card and then draw a card. So it gets your Super Quant stuff into your graveyard. Whenever it's sent, it replenishes your hand. And then, if it's summoned, you get to special summon another one from your hand. And it works really well with the field spell and the Link monster. Then I play 3 copies of Blue Layer. Blue Layer, whenever summoned, is going to search any Super Quant card that you need. It can search your field spell, it can search any of your monsters that you need. And then if it's sent to the graveyard, it shuffles 3 of your Super Quant cards from your graveyard back into your deck. Then I play 3 copies of White Layer. This guy just came out in Dark Neostorm about 6 months ago. What he does whenever summoned, he has his own special summoning condition. You can send a Super Quant card from your hand to the graveyard to special summon it in defense. Whenever it's summoned, you get to send a Super Quant card from your deck to the graveyard, and its attribute and level become equal to the monster that you send. So, say you summon White Layer off of Blue Layer by sending Blue Layer. Blue Layer will get its effect, White Layer will get its effect. Then White Layer can send, say, Green Layer, and then he's going to become a level 4 Wind instead of being a level 7 Light. Whenever he is sent to the graveyard, he gets to search out our next card, Alphan. Super Quantal Fairy Alphan. It searches it from either deck or grave, so you can replenish it from grave, you can add it from your deck to thin out your deck, whichever one you want to do. The main effect here, once per turn you can target a Super Quant monster that you control, and all face-up monsters on the field become that level, so it makes it easier to Xyz summon. The other effect of Alphan, and the effect I use a lot more, you contribute it, and then you pick 3 random Super Quants from your deck. You shuffle them, and your opponent randomly picks one. The one that they pick is special summoned. The other 2 get sent to the graveyard. So, it can give you a chance of getting the Super Quant monster you need, and it lets you set up your graveyard. Then for a deck thinner, I play 3 copies of Lonefire, and of course I play the Brilliant Fusion Engine to get 3 Scorpio. And I've been seeing people do this a lot more. Play 2 Cobra instead of 1, because you don't want to draw this thing. It hurts whenever you draw it. And that searches either Brilliant Fusion or your Instant Fusion to make your Seraphonite or your level 5 Instant Fusion target. Then I play the 1 copy of Gem Knight Sapphire. It fulfills the same purpose as Garnet. The only difference is, instead of it having high attack, it has high defense. Because you do want to go first with this and lock your opponent out of playing the game by playing Great Magnus. And that's actually it for the monsters. Moving on to spells. We have 3 copies of your field spell. The first effect is you can discard a card and then target a Super Quant monster that you control and Xyz summon using that monster. Just that monster. So long as you make something that is a Super Quant Xyz and it matches the same attribute as the monster you targeted. Then the second effect, the effect that you use to make Great King Magnus, You can send this card from your field to the graveyard, target 3 of your Super Quant mech beasts from your field or grave, and then you XC summon using all 3 of those as materials. If they're on field, then the materials that are on that current monster transfer to the new monster. That's how you get Great Magnus up to 7 materials. Then I play 1 copy of Terraforming because sometimes 3 blue layer is not enough. You want to search for more things off of blue layer sometimes. I play 2 copies of Alpha Call Appeal. So if a Super Quant monster that you control is sent to the grave, destroyed by battle and sent to the grave, or doesn't have to be sent to the grave, just destroyed by battle, you special summon a Super Quantal mech beast from your extra deck, and then you special summon the corresponding pilot. So say you get blue layer destroyed, alright? And you activate Alpha Call Appeal to summon out your Magna Liger. You also get to special summon out your red layer. And same goes with every other Super Quant monster you special summon off of it. So, I think it's a pretty decent comeback card if you need it. I play 1 copy of Brilliant Fusion because Gem Knight Seraph Knight is a level 5, and it gives you an extra normal summon. Then you use Instant Fusion to bring out Sea Monster of Theseus. If you draw into the Brilliant Fusion, you search Instant Fusion. If you draw into Instant Fusion, you search Brilliant Fusion. This way you have 2 targets for Cobra. Both of them serve the same purpose, to get another monster on the field. Then because we hate hand traps, we play 3 copies of Call by the Grave. We hate hand traps. And we also hate back row. This deck loses hardcore to Rivalry and Gozen. But it does not lose hard against there can be only one. So, Twisters just gets rid of those problems if you need it while replenishing your graveyard with your Super Quant monsters. Emergency Teleport because, oddly enough, blue layer is in fact a psychic. And it can turbo out blue layer. 1 for 1 to turbo out Alphan because Alphan is a level 1. Monster Reborn to revive monsters from grave. And then the 1 World Legacy Succession to fulfill the same purpose as Monster Reborn. That's actually it for the main deck. Moving on to the extra deck. Starting off with the extra deck, we got a copy of Seraph Knight for Brilliant Fusion, Theseus for your instant fusion target, 1 copy of Grand Pulse because, well, Grand Pulse is probably the least important one, and extra deck space is fairly tight. 2 copies of Ouroboros. Ouroboros is a Book of Moon during either player's turn, and Grand Pulse is a spell and trap removal. 2 copies of Magna Liger, because Magna Liger is basically a Trident. 2 copies of Luster Rex, because he's an Effect Veiler. 1 copy of Great Magnus, because, let's put it this way, if you're summoning Great Magnus, you, chances are, have won the duel. And for those who don't know what Magnus does, it gets effects depending on how many materials it has. If it has 2 or more, you can detach a material and shuffle a card back from the field into the deck. If you have 4 or more materials, then it's unaffected by all of the card effects except for Super Quant cards. And if it has 6 or more, it's a mistake on legs. So, I think that's a pretty big and beefy boss monster. 1 copy of Lamphalinkus, just because it's a generic Link 2, and it points 2 downward arrows. 1 copy of Jasmine, because you're not going to want to use Cobra and Scorpio for anything else, so you can just link them off into Jasmine, and have 2 downward arrows for later. 1 copy of Magna. This card is what makes the deck work in Master Rule 4. So it requires 2 plus effect monsters, including a Super Quant monster. Can't be destroyed by card effects. So if your opponent tries to, say, Torrential Tribute you upon the summon of Magna, this thing will not die. So, the next thing about this thing is anytime a Super Quant Mech Beast monster is special summoned to a zone it points to, you can draw a card. That automatically replenishes your hand from discarding off of your field spell. And then, basically, that's the main bread and butter about that thing. 1 Mega Clops because 3 Xyz monsters equals a 4K beater that lets you revive an Xyz monster from your graveyard while taking one of your opponent's monsters to make this thing. Well, to make the Xyz monster have material. Then the last card in the extra deck is 1 copy of Saryuja because worst case scenario, you can make Saryuja to hopefully replenish your hand, and then you can special summon for free off of it. That's actually it for the deck profile. Hope you guys enjoyed. If you did, please leave a like, subscribe, share this video with a friend, and like my page on Instagram. With that all out of the way, I'll pass my turn.